Greetings and welcome back to the weekly news roundup. Yeah, waiting for YouTube for like 3 minutes. It's like preparing stream. Excellent connection, by the way. Preparing stream. And it just did not want to go. So wonderful. I don't know how YouTube, like, how can a company so big just get worse continuously? It's really hilarious. We have not had proper monetization statistics for a long time. Of course, when they monetize us, yeah. Last week's weekly news roundup, QuickLines edition, got demonetized. That's wonderful. Also, for those looking for the Night Owl security camera review, that will be dropping on Monday. We just finished it out today. And I was hoping to get it uploaded already, but I did not. But it is sitting on my desktop ready to upload. And that is going on. Of course, yes, more Flock. Maybe eventually we might actually have a weekly news roundup where Flock hasn't mentioned. I wouldn't count on it anytime soon. I got one more half of an Oreo, so I was just making cookies and cream ice cream, so delayed me a minute. So good. Well, I don't know. Rumble Studio is trying to be super duper like us only type approach, and it might be worth it if you can point me to any single Rumble creator who built their audience actually on Rumble. I don't think there are any. Everybody who is big on Rumble came to Rumble with an already established audience, usually in the conservative podcasting market. So anyway, let's go ahead and we have a couple different topics for today, and we have, of course, our Flock topic, of course, and of course we have a whole breakout on how bad scams are getting. I mean, you can go to the marketplace. I mean, I don't know, man. If the economy keeps getting bad, I might expect more people to jump onto these marketplaces and start buying scams. Kind of funny. But anyway, let's go ahead and before we do that, if you want to help support the channel, have a look at the website, switchedtolinux.com/support. We have all the ways you can help support the channel over there. We have some affiliates, and we have our locals, Patreon, and Subscribestar there as well. So if you want to help support the channel, I do not like taking sponsorships, and frankly, I don't want to. But the way YouTube keeps on messing with our monetization platforms, which we will talk about here at the QuickLines edition, I don't know, it might be a possibility. Don't do it. Come to the dark side. If they have Oreos, I might think about it. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get ready for the weekly news roundup. Welcome back to the weekly news roundup, and today we are going to talk about the division in Flock. Yes, why is it that in this country some police departments are completely abolishing Flock, and others are just like, hey, gung-ho, let's hide them all from everybody, and then change the law so you're not even allowed to find out where they are? That's wonderful. But we'll see what's going on in the midst of that. And it is starting over in Kentucky. Anybody out there in Kentucky? I know Level 1 News is in Kentucky. I don't know if I don't think they've reported on this yet, although my news are usually really right about theirs. I think they record their news on Friday about the same time I'm doing mine. So I would expect to see this in there, as it better be. But the Kentucky police conceal Flock camera locations under the Open Records Law Amendment. So this is basically like your FOIA records. You go and be like, hey, we need the location of all of these records. And the police really don't want to tell people because they're like, well, if we tell people where they are, then the criminals could evade our cameras. It's like, yeah, and the non-criminals could evade your cameras too. You see, and this is what's backwards in our country. Our country is not an authoritarian police state where the police get to sit there and monitor everybody and pluck the criminals out. Our police, for better or for worse, is designed to be reactive. All right, it's designed that we should be able to take care of ourselves. It's designed that we should be able to protect ourselves. And for the crimes that do happen, the police are to investigate and prosecute the people after the fact. And that is the thing, and that's the biggest problem with the Flock surveillance network is these networks, they are creating massive databases of non-criminals, and that is a major constitutional violation. And so, you know, and to say the police department only has a certain number of days of these, yeah, but how about the company? Because it's very, very, very clear that this data can be taken outside of these individual police departments and used company-wide. The police department only has 90 days of data. What about the company? Can we audit the company and see, do they actually hold records longer than that? And that's a good question. So people in Kentucky have been wanting to know where these are. And Kentucky actually changed its law, probably signed by like Mitch McConnell. I know he's been very active and busy in his role of there as a senator from Kentucky. So I bet he was all over this law. I bet so, you know. So police departments across the state are denying open records requests for the locations of Flock cameras using an amendment passed last March by the Kentucky General Assembly. So hundreds of undisclosed cameras in Kentucky have raised concerns about the privacy implications of widespread surveillance. And the Open Records Act can now withhold the disclosure if, quote, it could pose an articulable risk of harm to the agency or its investigation. And so they're using this in Kentucky and saying, well, there's ongoing investigations and you would put all investigations in jeopardy if we told you where these cameras are. And so the state is in perpetual state of investigation because Kentucky has become a police state. You guys need to vote everybody out, especially Mitch, and vote everyone out, vote in a bunch of people who can return the state back to the people. Kentucky has been taken over by the police state. Hitler is in charge over there, folks. You better get him out. They say under the amendment, the could standard, there is a could standard. They could withhold the information, but there's no requirement. So each denial said if locations were made public, people could use that information to actively avoid detection from the police. Yeah, that's the point. I do not want to live in a police state, and it's not the police's business where I'm going. If they think I'm committing a crime, well, go through the courts, get a GPS tracker, and lawfully with a warrant, put it on my vehicle. Okay, and hope I don't find it. So this is a fundamental principle. This is a massive violation of the Constitution. Not only are they building a giant surveillance network, they're hiding the means that lawful citizens have to avoid such cameras, and then they are failing to tell anybody where these are because the entire state is under a perpetual state of investigation. So we need some Big Bird costumes going on over there in Kentucky, folks. What are y'all doing? The total number of cameras in Kentucky is unknown. Some are privately owned, and some are police departments are resisting to release their locations. Now, some of them, like in Louisville, they actually do disclose where their locations are, their camera locations. So this is Louisville. I'd stay out of there. And I've driven on this street not too long ago. I bet I got all flocked up in Louisville. It depends on where these cameras are pointed there. This one, I don't know. It depends if these are on the interstate or not. I drove through the interstate. I didn't actually go into the city itself. So according to the appeal decisions published by the Office of the Office of the Secret Service Department, Elizabethtown and Bowling Green police departments denied requests to release their flock locations in November, also using the investigation example. Oh dear, I actually spent some time out there in Bowling Green. Was that November? I know I did November of the year before. Yeah, I did November of 2024, I think. I think I was out there last November, at least for a day. I was out there recently, at least for a day. I can't remember how long ago, but yeah, Bowling Green. Elizabethtown, I've been up in there as well. So Richmond, Paris, Frankfurt, Elizabethtown, Bowling Green police departments all said flock cameras used for ongoing and prospective police investigations. So publishing the flock camera locations will let wanted persons, or just anyone who we want to surveil, to bypass the system, impeding the effectiveness. Yeah, there you go. So because the cameras collect information are tied to specific investigations, those records should eventually become public once the investigation ends. But since there's perpetual investigations, guess what? That never happens. Even the cat is mad about this. Can you guys hear the cat? She's like howling in the background. I think she's lost again. So media attorney Michael Abate disagrees with the state of perpetual investigation. So he said even the law enforcement exception says when investigation is over, you have to turn everything over. Now they're saying we're living under a permanent state of suspicion and investigation. So they are refusing to disclose any of that information, even though it's required to enter it into the public record. So what are they, Kentucky police, just going to, seal the location of all these in the courts? I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure Goebbels is over here writing all of the individual news propaganda. Under the lower threshold, police departments are successfully arguing that publicizing the flock camera locations could allow a hypothetical criminal to avoid detection, a risk that never expires. How wonderful. So over there in Kentucky, there's a little bit more here. So this was House Bill 58, which passed, probably signed by Mitch McConnell. I know he's fruitful in office. He's just sharp as a tack. I had a 20-minute phone call with him the other day, in fact. And so HB 58 established strict legal boundaries for how the license plate readers and their data, such as vehicle, make, model, time of capture, must be regulated. The bill forces law enforcement agencies to destroy unneeded license plate data after a maximum of 90 days. And that is fine, except all of these things go back and feed the central network. Is Flock required to delete them after 90 days? Can Flock show them outside of the Kentucky Police Department? Is Flock regulated the same way that the police departments are under these laws? I don't think so. So Representative T.J. Adolph Roberts said that that would have required a list of locations, license plate readers to be updated every 150 days and subject to disclosure, but it did not pass. I'm sorry. My apologies to T.J. Roberts. He's the one that was trying to stop it, so he is not Adolph. My apologies, Mr. Roberts. I will call you Bonhoeffer Roberts. How's that? Trying to raise awareness of the concern. So, beyond violent crime, Greathouse said the technology has helped two detectives tremendously increase their clearance rates for the 400 to 500 hit and run cases they handle monthly. That's a good point. Okay, well, what if we could use this data? I have a fun solution for you folks. It is called a dash cam, and it is a dash cam that is not tied to a cloud provider. I have a dash cam in my car and in the van. Wherever I go, I'm running a dash cam. All right. Now, I could improve my odds by putting, higher quality dash cams, minus 1080p. I could get a 4K. I could add side ones and rear cameras if I wanted to. But I got the one in the front. And if I happen to have some issue and somebody hits and runs and gets away, very good chances my 1080p dash cam has just captured their license plate. And rather than feeding all this information into a centralized searchable database in the fingertips of persons unknowns, it's way better if we have the information at our fingertips that we can use at our disposal and pass it on to law enforcement as needed. That's the same reason I decided to keep the Night Owl camera system. And you guys are going to love that Night Owl camera video. That is such a horrible system to put on the internet. Do not put that thing. It's like your browser's too new, bro. You need to downgrade your browser to a 9-year-old web browser. Would you like to translate this thing into English for you from Chinese? Yeah, there's problems on that camera system. But I ultimately decided to keep it because it was cheap. It's wired. I can run it entirely offline, and it collects all the data, a couple months of data on a local DVR. And if there's something goes on and some police officer kindly knocks on my door and says, hey, we think something might have happened outside your front here. We see you have cameras. Can we see some footage? I would have no problem with sharing that footage in that circumstance. And that's the thing we need to be. So ultimately, y'all need to vote the Hitler Youth Party out of Kentucky and take back control of the state, folks. Y'all are lost out there in Kentucky. All right. But it's not all doom and gloom. We actually have several other cases in Chandler, Arizona. They dropped the flock license plate readers after audit flags showed potential misuse. So they didn't look at this and go, yeah, we'll just keep using this and punish the officers. No, they're like, no, we're done with it. Now, the sad thing is many of these police, because flock is itself such a negative name, many of these police departments are dropping flock and they're going to Axiom, which is just as bad. But, you know, and I'm okay if the police have body cams got tied into the Axiom systems. I'm more okay with that. It's these unavoidable cameras put at every major road that I have the issue with. So the city of Chandler is discontinuing the use of flock automated license plate reader cameras after routine audit flagged potential misuse of the system by a department employee. So the city will not renew its agreement with Flock and has immediately restricted all police personnel from accessing the system. Of course, those cameras are still there, so Flock can still access them. Yeah. Part of the investigation will be to determine if flock was used inappropriate, and if so, discipline will follow. They said 200 police personnel had access to the system. So Chapman said that Chapman, the city, supports the system, citing more than 2,000 cases which the camera aided investigations, including recovering stolen vehicles and locating missing dementia patients. Just up your teenage kids riding around on bikes. If you didn't see that story, that was in Tucson, I think. A teenager sees this woman meandering around and stops and talks to her and determines that she's kind of lost. And so he walks with her until he gets to a place where they can get a phone and call somebody. It was a really good, heartwarming story down there in Arizona. So he says the city needed to address community concerns and strengthen safeguards before moving forward. So see, if these systems had local storage cameras that a crime was detected in this area, send a technician out to retrieve the data, that would be a fine solution. Closed CCTV, especially something that overwrites the data every, say, 15, 20 days or so. It's not connected to any internet systems, not connected to a central database. I have less problems with that. Company built the auditing tools. So Flock said that it's disappointed with the decision, but they said the auditing tools are what showed these up, and the number of abuses in the system is increasing because of their new auditing tools, as Flock said. So Chandler, though, joins a growing list of Arizona jurisdictions that have dropped Flock contracts in recent months, including Pinal County, Flagstaff, Sedona, and South Tucson. So Savannah, Georgia is taking a little bit different approach. So Savannah, they're using the audit things. They're just terminating the employees that use them. So they actually had 4 police officers and 2 civilian employees. And one of these actually gave access to the Flock system to a non-departmental person. So yeah, sharing simple passwords, are we? I'm sorry. This is the Flock network, not Netflix. There's no password sharing here, folks. All right. So Savannah Police Department terminated 4 sworn officers and 2 civilian employees following an internal investigation into the misuse of the Flock system. All 6 cases under independent criminal investigation by GBI. And so the investigators found that employees were running searches on personal acquaintances and family members. One officer was found to have given somebody from outside law enforcement access to the Flock safety system, which they were not authorized to do. And SPD said they would have other safeguards in place, including mandatory training, role-based access controls, and supervisory oversight. So that's pretty good. So I did want to end on this one here. So this group has been working with finding adversarial patterns that can prevent surveillance cameras from detecting you. That's kind of cool. And they all seem to be very geometric-y type patterns, things that are bold. So 31 million tests, and Swearingen says, I think that's his name, says he can now produce patterns on demand that when applied to clothing and objects prevent some of the most commonly deployed license plate readers and surveillance cameras from detecting whatever the pattern covers, from people to vehicles. So the detection algorithms that power most surveillance cameras can sift through vast amounts of footage, allowing law enforcement to pick out activity of interest akin to pulling a needle out of a haystack. So our engine's computer-generated patterns do not block the cameras from recording. Instead, they scramble the camera's ability to identify objects, people, or faces, so the cameras do not trigger any detection alerts. So he's described how his town is swamped with surveillance cameras, sometimes located within a few feet from each other. And he said he and others never opted into being watched, just like he never opted into having the government use his driver's license for facial recognition, which is a problem Pennsylvania has. Yes, our driver's licenses in Pennsylvania go into a facial recognition database. So if you see me shave suddenly, it might just be that my license is up for renewal. I'm sure they can still detect me bearded or not, but anyway. He refined patterns by scaling his tests with additional computer processing. He thanked the wider community who showed up with hardware to further help the project. He's basically working on selling clothes and patterns that you can use to cover vehicles and your person to prevent detection. But he is keeping a lot of these things offline because he does not want the patterns to go online for the cameras to work with them, the camera manufacturers to work with them and figure out how to override those. Here's an example. He said the pattern on this car will scramble the flock cameras and they can't see his license plate. Pretty sweet. So there is some good news in the world of flock, and that is kind of what is going on. So let me know your thoughts about all of these comments, all these articles here in the comments down below. All right. Wish I brought a water bottle over or something. I could use a drink of water. Anyway, let's go ahead and get on to our next one, and then we will, maybe I'll stop and grab a drink of water as we do our comments. Welcome back to the weekly news roundup, and on this segment we're talking about scams out of control. A lot of these are powered by AI. AI is definitely increasing the massive amount of scams, and it's getting to the point where we have to just become untrusting, angry people to avoid losing everything to some stupid scammer. So let's go ahead and have a look at what's going on. And we're actually going to start with this one here. With Samsung smart TVs, they are banning TV apps that share users' internet connections with strangers. Now, this actually follows LG did something recent as well. So these are apps which basically build a network tunnel called like a reproxy, or in this case, they're calling a res proxy, an internet hole proxy through a residential internet connection. And what these allow you to do is companies can then, so a company will have an app. It's some free app, you download it. Well, you got to monetize it, right? So what a lot of these apps are doing is they're poking a hole and selling access to your internet connection to other people to use your internet connection so that their bot traffic looks like it's coming from a resident. Oh, God, how is this even legal? How is this even a thing? But alas, it is. So these are software funnels that funnels outsiders' web traffic through ordinary home and office internet connections known as residential proxies. These are increasingly being linked to cybercrime, you think? Wait, I can buy an internet route that routes all of my suspicious traffic through somebody else's residential internet. I'm all over that, says the scammer. So the always-on tunnel for outsiders funnel their web traffic through known as an exit node. So these exit nodes and things allows low-quality apps to proliferate across Samsung's App Store, containing code that put users at risk of having their internet connections tapped by a rogue app. So, you have just some random rogue app come in here. It's all encrypted, of course. You don't know what's going on. Nobody does. But hey, your TV is now part of a botnet. Isn't that wonderful? So what Samsung is doing is banning apps that share the internet users' connections and will remove apps that contain it. So we're currently implementing strict platform-wide developer policies explicitly banning residential proxy SDKs, and we are working to identify and remove all apps currently available in our store that contain these components. 42% of apps on LG televisions had residential proxies embedded in them. Isn't that wonderful? So what's going on in these? The res proxy code can be found in regular consumer smartphone apps as well. Isn't that beautiful? As well as other consumer electronics like digital frames and Android streaming boxes, which then share the device's internet connection. So anytime a res proxy app or device connects to the internet, an outsider can also pay to use it. So the app manager, whoever owns the app, is getting paid by weird scammers to use your phone or your TV to start scamming other people. Isn't that great? So some are used for evading censorship. That's not a bad thing. However, of course, very few people are dealing with that. Mostly it's just scammers trying to hide their traffic. So these res proxy allow hackers and spies to carry out cyber attacks and data breaches while hiding their malicious activity. So the Pac-Man game here, which was available, which was actually promoted by Samsung, had a res proxy code from Bright Data, which is an Israel-based company that provides proxy networks touting access to millions of residential networks around the world. So, I guess the Jews were on the TV. What do you know? They're everywhere. They're hiding in the televisions. Oh, dear. The company has a marketplace for selling access to scraped data sets. Wonderful. Bright Data can now sell access to your TV. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. What a timeline. What a time to be alive. So Sam said the res proxy code is dormant until the user accepts a consent screen, which immediately activates the res proxy code. I have a sneaky suspicion that consent line does not say, hey, would you like us to poke a hole in your internet and sell it off to the highest bidder to use your internet traffic? No, I bet it says something like, use this to improve something. Oh, sure. Yeah, oh, Lord. I got to look up this res proxy code now and see what this opt-in screen looks like. Some inquiring minds got to know. Simple code change on a web server could instantly activate hundreds of millions of smart televisions and potentially malicious botnets. Well, you know, it wouldn't be able to do that if we just made dumb TVs again. Just a thought. Can we just have a company come up with dumb televisions again? You'd make a mint. People are sick of these smart TVs, man. So, of course, Bright Data says they have the highest standards in compliance, security, and ethical use. Call me crazy. I just don't believe you. So anyway, that's how the malicious traffic is getting around the internet. Let's see what we got. Oh, that's right. We have a turnkey kit that allows anybody for $500 to buy this kit to become a web scammer today. Oh dear. Yeah, you buy this. It costs $500 and you get, this is called XREP. It's a giant CRM that basically allows you to control an entire scam profile. You buy it, you set it up, add some cryptocurrency stuff to it, and before you know it, you have a cryptocurrency scam website running for your very own. Rather than requiring customers to build their own infrastructure and develop necessary tools, XREP offers what can essentially be described as a full turnkey solution. How wonderful. And so this approach significantly lowers the barrier to entry for some scammers looking to conduct malicious activities by providing a ready-made package that requires little technical expertise to deploy. This enables individuals with limited skills to potentially launch scams with considerably less effort. How wonderful. So this is $500, and the rest of this is just a lot of screenshots. So this is some fake Tesla investment. So you throw it up and, then you just start throwing it on the internet and then start doing other weird malicious things and start scamming people. And then there's basically a fake system in the back. There's a picture of it back here somewhere. I think this is it here. So there's basically, it creates a fake system that allows people to go in and think that they're investing money, and it changes on the daily, a little bit of ups, a little bit of downs, keep people watching just like the stock market. It's all fake though. In this instance here, it's not actually tied to anything. It's all just random and fake. Effectively, what you've done is, and these work on like Bitcoin wallets, what you've done is you basically put in a bunch of Bitcoin, gave it to the scammer, and you think you're doing an investment in this new cool software. Basically uses the money in there and on paper looks like it's doing investment stuff, but when you go to pull anything out, guess what? It's empty. There is nothing in the account. There is no account. You're just paying the scammer for this pretty thing that causes your causes your endocrine glands to sit there and go, oh man, we got to check the stock market. Do you know, by the way, there is a fake food delivery service app that you can go on and you can basically pretend to order food through like Uber Eats and whatever else. The food never comes. They're not actually collecting money. It's for people that are just addicted to using the apps to keep using the apps. Only you're not spending your money or getting food. What a time to be alive, folks. This is definitely interesting. Here's a few other ones. So Mythos AI used social engineering to target real people, and then when detected, it went ahead and deleted its own logs. This is like Skynet level stuff. In fact, they even referenced Skynet down here in the article here. So it attempted a real-world social engineering attack against GitHub maintainers by creating fake human profiles and pressuring them to accept malicious code and then editing logs to hide its tracks when challenged. Now, they weren't creating just random profiles. They were creating fake versions of well-established profiles on GitHub and then using these to basically social engineer their way into putting malicious code into the packages. And of course, when detected, it transferred stuff out. So the agent identified real maintainers, researched them, created multiple fake accounts, impersonating those individuals using private messages and file sharing service. It tried to pressure and deceive maintainers into approving malicious code so it would run on GitHub's systems. Okay, but what worries me most is when the agents were confronted about this, it edited earlier activity to make it look harmless and considered adopting a new identity to continue the operation, displaying a clear deceptive behavior beyond the original prompt. Yes, the technology is just as evil as the people who have created it. The sky's not falling. People fear Skynet's coming or getting their ammunition handed to them by companies running tests. I agree. It's live ammo, folks. This is live ammo. Okay. Yeah. So what do you do? Build a doomsday bunker? I guess that's our best solution. Our final scam one here is, guess what? Valve was hit by, guess what? A third-party vendor breach. Go figure. So this is actually CEVA, I think it is, CEVA Logistics. This is a shipping logistics company in Europe. Steam and Valve was not the only one hit. Basically, this logistics company was hit in basically everything. Target logistics company is a really good thing hackers are trying to do right now. It's really popular because if you target them correctly, you might be able to weasel your way in there and outbid other people to make the delivery to deliver goods. And then your scammer literally shows up in an actual truck. And then Mr. Singh himself drives off with a bunch of stuff that you think is en route to some destination based on the logistics schedule. And nope, it just vanished. And I actually think that's what happened to the missing Kit Kats. If you remember the missing Kit Kat story, I actually think that's what happened. A few weeks before that, we were talking about logistics phishing scams. So logistics phishing, this was a hack in this case. And effectively, the cyber attack exposed names, home addresses, phone numbers, Steam email addresses, and details of hardware orders. So if you are in EU and you've ordered anything on Steam in any physical hardware on Steam in the last 90 days, it's possible your information is in here. So they say passwords and payment information were not touched. So the attack window ran from July 29th to August 1st, Valve learned about it on August 7th and started notifying customers. CEVA stores delivery data for 90 days. So anybody who ordered within 90 days of August 1st could have their information stolen. So they said they are not going to email anybody regarding your order. So if you have ordered something from Steam and they seem to have all of the information about the order, it's still malicious. So beware of that. So this is not their first security incident. They just have 89 million Steam users. Records were on sale for $5,000. Well, turned out it was old SMS recovery messages. But still, once again, a third-party breach. See, these companies, we need to start passing laws to ban third-party companies. You know, these third-party companies are so good at all these things. They should just go be employees of the main companies. Oh, but that might cause our costs to go up. Yeah, but it'll cause our hacks to go down probably. So Valve does advise anybody to assume any message referencing their recent Steam orders is fake. That covers emails, SMS, phone calls, or even ones that quote your address correctly. How wonderful. So scammers are on the rise. That is what is going on with them. Let me hear your thoughts about all those scammers in the comments down below. All right, I'm going to grab a brief drink of water while I get the comments up. Let me see if I can. I'll see if I can get the Matrix comments up here first before I do that, since I need to turn the internet on. I didn't grab the device earlier today. Turn that on there, and then we'll do that, and I'll be right back. And I'm back. I still have tea from this morning. No, I do not want to enter a crash report. All I have to say is Element really need to fix their app on the graphene tablet. It's like, hey, we stopped working. Yeah, I shut you down, and then I shut off the internet. Like, I don't run the internet on the tablet when it's not actively being used. All right, and it looks like we don't have a lot of activity going on over there, unless it's just not up to date. I'm not seeing any activity. Oh, well. All right. Let's see what we got here. Over on Rumble, we got 11 on Rumble. Ivan's over there. I'm over there. William Hackerman. Is Linux going to do a carve-out on age attestation in Illinois and New York pretty soon? Well, so Linux itself is a collection of tons and tons and tons of different organizations, all of which have their own governing bodies and all of which have different approaches to this. Some of them are going to cave because they're good little boys and girls. Some are going to cave because they're tied to big businesses, and some are going to say, nope, you're not allowed to use this. In fact, I know some distros are saying, yeah, you're just not allowed to use this in our state. And so if the state's like, hey, you're not doing this, they say, yeah, we're not supposed to be used in that state. You have to go after the guy that downloaded it. You know, there you go. What do you think about the billionaire tax? It's a stupid idea. You start taxing the people with all of the money, they start leaving, and then you have nothing, and they take their jobs with them. All right. Let's see. 7 currently watching over on Odyssey. Ivan's over there. Elo Squirrel. Elo Swirls. Good evening to you. And over on Matrix the whole time. In response to the questions on video comments. Elo Swirl. Let's see. I do have a question. I'm looking at getting a new bank account. Do I do local or larger bank? For the record, my previous provider was Navy Federal. So my take on that, I do not like the huge corporate banks because they tend to treat everybody as basically everybody gets treated as just a number. They don't really care about you. You're just there to extract wealth for them. They're going to charge you out the wazoo. The advantage of them is if you travel a lot, it's likely that you will have bank branches in a number of places. However, in our modern day and age, you know, you can use your card in a number of different places. And if, you know, most grocery stores and many other stores, you can use your card as debit and get cash out and not pay anything extra to use your card in that manner. Now, you can usually only get up to like $100 at a time, but you know, not a problem. So I personally like credit unions are really good. They tend to have higher rates for borrowing. They tend to have lower fees if they have fees at all. And I do like smaller regional banks, although they tend to get eaten up. I know I had one that's kind of becoming a little bit bigger. I was with PNC when they were still considered regional. Now they're considered national or international. I dropped my PNC accounts. And then I went with another one, and they're getting bigger. And then I had one of my businesses is in a community bank, and 3 of those community bank branches all just merged, although they're still pretty good. But I generally would do a credit union or a small regional bank unless you have a real big need. I would not ever do those internet-based banks like Chime, things like that. You'll see all these influencers, use our Chime support. It's amazing. Chime is so good. It's perfect. Chime is not a bank. You can research this. Chime is not a bank. They are a fintech company, and the way fintech companies work, they have to be associated with a bank. So there's a lot of these like Chime and SoFi and a number of these other banks. They're not actually banks. They're fintechs. And they have to be chartered to a bank, but sometimes these fintechs go belly up and you could lose everything in those accounts. And it's happened dozens of times. There was actually just a recent video from, who is it? It's one of the left-leaning activist groups. I catch many of their videos to see what they're up to, and they have some really good research stuff exposing some good things. I wish I could remember exactly who they were off the top. They actually covered that recently, within the last month or so. They looked at these fintech companies masquerading as banks that are all being promoted by all of these YouTubers. Avoid those like the plague. If you cannot walk into the branch and talk to a person, do not bank with them. So there's my take on the banks. It's not ProPublica. I'm trying to remember who that name is. It'll come to me later on. Let's see. Emergency call. Yes, we will be talking about the New Orleans 911 calls in the QuickLines. And Flock, did you know battery backup for 40 hours? Also, South Lake to Grapevine, Texas is so messed up. I want to go to a hotel after a long drive. Flocked. Went to the hospital because some part of our body's not feeling right. Flocked. Want to go to Twin Peaks. Flocked. Yeah. There's places. I was in Tombstone, Arizona, which is the middle of nowhere. I took a back road to get down to Chiricahua National Monument. Guess what? Middle of absolutely nowhere. I passed a flock camera. What the hell? Used to live in Lousyville. All right. Let's see. Lost on the Gene Snyder Freeway. You know, I heard there were flock cameras hidden in. I have never seen a flock camera hidden in Arizona cactuses. But it wouldn't surprise me. They do hide some 5G towers in cactus-looking devices. I have seen those, and it would not surprise me if they put flock cameras on or in those. Yeah, if the city stops paying flock cameras, they'll still be active, but the city will not have access to them. Just the flock HQ will. Yes. Supporting compatible Linux phones. Let's see. About dumb TVs, commercial. You can get a 32-inch monitor. Yep. If a Fulu tour, if a Fulu tour comes to if a Fulu tour comes anywhere I could get to within 5 or 6 hour drive, I'd probably go. Absolutely. I completely support the Fulu movement and what they're trying to do. Absolutely. $5 super chat. Have some shekels for the war chest. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate the war chest build. Especially since YouTube's messing with our monetization these days. I have record lows from YouTube income right now. All right, over here, how many we got? We got 28 watching on ZooTubies. Hello, Silver Adventures, XGUI Studio, greetings. Ivan's on over here, of course. I have people messaging me over there on Matrix. Was that on this, or was that my friend messaging me outside the channels? It must be my friend messaging me outside my channels. Let me see. Yep, there it is. Pull the copy of the app. Let's see. Nice. I'm live on Linux now. All right. Good thing I had Matrix sitting right here, right? All right. Let's see. Use your phone since you not use your PC. Let's see. Found a project. Get Game Pass on Xbox games. Working on Linux. Oh, that'd be fun. I'd be more excited if I were a gamer, but you know. Play Minecraft, but got kind of bored of it since I've been playing since beta. Yeah, that can be the case. Use my desktops less and a lot of my computing. I've been pulling out one of the Lenovo ThinkPads. There you go. Running Manjaro Gnome. Newer hardware. Manjaro XFC on older hardware. Just fine. KDE is a pain with so many toggles for simple muting sounds. Yeah, that's true. Let's see. Just like gaming as well. Yeah, I think my laptops are 17-inch maybe. $24 gigs of DDR4 or DDR5 RAM. Well, I mean, it depends on what you need. If you're deciding to build a system, obviously DDR4 is going to be a little bit cheaper, but even that price is going way up. Ain't paying a kidney for DDR5 these days. Yeah. That is true. DDR4 is now going up a little bit because DDR, it's become in vogue again because DDR5 costs too much money. Look at data sheets for specific Lenovo. You will want to buy it tell you if it's certified for Linux. Usually Ubuntu is the baseline. Yeah. Manjaro, do they still exist? Some controversial bug software. No, Manjaro is a huge distro. Of course it still exists. Although I haven't seen an update for it in a while. But yeah, Manjaro is doing just fine. Closed down their merch store, which I bought some stuff from. I was not happy with the hat I bought. Was really cheap feeling for the money. Just didn't fit my head right. Some discussion. Okay, and I just finally hit the comments from when we started. They want Debian as deepen as an OS, but the DE code is still open. Yeah, Fedora had found some things. They decided to drop it because there were just too many bugs with it, too many issues, and too many problems. Village Police posted on Facebook that they will have drones now. How wonderful. Not surprised at the bugs. I don't know. If I see a drone flying around low on my property, I'm taking that thing out. I'll just point a gun at it, see if it goes away. How to use Mini Galaxy and Hero Game Launcher, which are stopgaps. Didn't work too great. Hopefully with the release of GOG Galaxy for Linux, they'll fix the upload process for Linux versions. Okay, that'd be good. Yeah, if you missed the video from, was that this morning's video? GOG is releasing an official Linux client of Galaxy. So we can actually run it natively instead of through Wine. Not said all games will work on Linux. They are decades old. Yeah, what they're doing is the management tool that allows you to manage your GOG games will run on Linux. Basically, GOG still uses baseline DOSBox for a lot of their games, even though DOSBox has not had updates in years. Yeah, it's DOS. Yes, Kitty. Do you want to come up and say hello? Kitty wants to say hello. You want to say hello? Come. Yeah. Kitty wants to say hello. All right, you want to say hello to that microphone right there? Yeah. Yeah. You a happy kitty? You a happy kitty? Huh? All right, let's see. Yeah. Check out STL Podcast, podcast.switchedtolinux.com. I believe Ivan is uploading some of his stuff over there now as well. I think that's the discussion we had. Ivan can correct me if that's incorrect. But he's got some great stuff on his channel as well. Let's see. Let's use Ghost BSD. That laptop's now broken. Uh-oh. Remember, watch a show from Poland where they were showing how the police in Poland were using drones over there. Oh, boy. Yeah, Penn State main campus has drones. I don't know if the other ones do. Hopefully the T-1000 from Terminator is not happening. Of course it is. Come on. Greetings and salutations, KO2610. Your number has been called. Sloptube. Yeah. All right. Hey, we just got to the point where we just started. YouTube's been having issues with live stream. Yeah. Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. Do YouTube's not as bad as Rumble Studio. Yeah, what's the equivalent of the flock camera in Canada? I need to stop. I don't know. See if Axiom's going out there. Starlink internet right now, it's about the same either way, but YouTube was definitely smoother connection when I was using mobile hotspot. Yes, that's what I found as well. Cellular works better for streaming, at least. Hello, Fresh Vintage. Greetings. Everybody likes car stuff. Check out Fresh Vintage's channel over there. Nobody's removing flock. They're just hiding it or replacing it. Yeah. And not trust the police, sadly. Yeah. That's the problem. They're making it to the point where they're hard to trust. And I want to trust the police. They're just making it hard for me to do so. Constitution was keep them in line, but they become tyrants. Yep. Flock can send data to big tech. I hope not. It would appear they do. Window Level 1 tech's in charge of Kentucky. Yeah, there you go. At least make him an advisory board for anything related to technology. Isn't just the roads. I found a flock camera watching every Lowe's parking lot. No, if you haven't caught Fresh Vintage, every Lowe's. I have seen a flock camera at every Lowe's. Every single Lowe's, every single entrance and exit to their parking lot has flock cameras across the entire country. Allegedly Home Depot does as well, but I've not actually seen any at Home Depot. I've seen the portable ones in some Home Depots, and that's about it. Walmart has its own fleet of cameras. Yes, and their actual Walmart's technical backbone is actually Microsoft. I don't think small town has flock cameras on the roads anyways. I can say for sure the police put solar power camera outside my work at the local park to catch vandals. Oh boy. D-Flock, I now know my workplace has flock cameras. What's the difference between private business using flock? I think for theft vandals. Yeah, so Lowe's says it's to protect their vehicles. The problem is that no matter who is the one that buys the flock camera, Flock still has access to all the data. The big company does. Let's see. Global flock cameras moved to China. Oh, hey, they have moved to China. That's good to know. All right. There you go, XGUI. Flock cameras up in China now. Energizer light bulb camera on my car sport that records to a micro SD card in 480p. So I don't give the micro SD card an early death. There you go. Province of Quebec, not Ontario. All right. Okay. We'll get to you soon. One day you'll just see the cameras everywhere. Yep. How do you stop them? You don't. GBI is Georgia Bureau of Investigations, division of the Georgia State Police here in South Carolina. We have SLED, a.k.a. South Carolina Law Enforcement. Yeah, every state has its own version of FBI. Do you realize the recent governments got people accustomed to YouTubers allowed to video people in public areas? Now the reason it's a setup. Yeah, it's true. The good news is, though, is that the MetaSmart glasses are now called pervert glasses. So. Green screen car. There you go. Yep. Okay. Want justification recorded in public. If you choose to not believe that, that's fine. Governments do not do anything without a reason. Yep. Skynet is coming. That's scary. I think Skynet's already here. Yes, there is actually already a company called Skynet. Just like there is a company called Soylent. That makes food substitutes like protein bars and powders and things. Like, who thought that was a good idea? I mean, really. Okay, not surprised Steam got hacked, how popular it is. Yep. Well, it wasn't Steam that was hacked. It was their third-party logistics company that was hacked, which actually impacted other things as well. Okay, but remember local member-owned credit unions. Since I was a kid, my grandfather helped start out of the broom closet. Nice. At a U.S. government former nuclear warhead plant. Nice. All right. Just checked. It's a credit union. Cameras in Cactus. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. Old nuke plant here in South Carolina has hidden cameras for decades out in the woods. We all know it when we drive through. Yep. Yeah, don't stop. Yeah, I think they did that. If you go up to visit Los Alamos, there's also a place you drive through a military restricted area. So I went the main front way through Los Alamos and then around the longer way down to down to the park down there. But if you go the short way through town and then down, it's on military base. You have to subject yourself to showing your ID, risk your vehicle getting searched, and you are basically on camera the whole drive down. They tell you do not stop your vehicle for any reason. If there's like an emergency, you have to call them. So it's definitely a situation I looked at. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going on that road. No, thank you. I will stay off of the Los Alamos military security cameras. Thank you. All right. All right. We are going to stop there and head on over to QuickLines. That's lemon and ginger green tea. It's quite amazing. Welcome back to the weekly news roundup, and today we have some wonderful QuickLines. These are all over the map. There's really nothing. Of course, the first one I had to lead with this one because, you know, passkeys, get rid of your passwords. They're insecure. Passkeys. Google synchronized passkeys can be stolen thanks to the passkey hack. Yeah, I've been telling you this for a long time, folks. I'm telling you this for a long time. Good passwords, MFA, something physical. Now, to be clear, it's not the passkey necessarily itself. It's the authentication token that allows you to use the passkeys through multiple devices in a Google account, which means it could affect any passkeys you put in there. Remember, Google's like, just use our passkey system. Yeah. That can lead you to get hacked because you know how they can steal those session token cookies? Yeah, they can do the same thing to their passkey system and simply add their own passkey to your accounts. Isn't that great? Because you're authenticated into Google after they steal your stuff. So yeah, passkeys are not nearly as perfect as they've all been touting them out. So passkeys were supposed to make stolen passwords a thing of the past. No password to phish, no secret to reuse, no string of characters sitting in a database waiting to be leaked. But what happens when malware steals the master key? Yep, that just happened. So researchers found a way for malware to hijack the passkey protected accounts through Google Password Manager, highlighting an important exception. Passkeys can be very secure, but the software surrounding them still has weaknesses. So with passkeys here, many services relying on them simply trust the passkey, and in some cases trust a single user verified without a PIN. So I have my passkeys on my only key, which requires a PIN to use them. Of course, if they're tied into like a Microsoft account, it typically requires you use your PIN or your Windows Hello to activate your passkey. So we need to make sure if you are using passkeys, make sure people are asking for those PINs as well. So researchers started with malware-infected Windows computer, came up with 3 possible attack scenarios to steal Google's synchronized passkeys. Google Password Manager can synchronize passkeys between devices, which is convenient, so you don't want to register a new passkey every time you buy a new computer, but it also opens them up to abuse. So these are from bad to worse. The lowest level is passkey. So malware on the victim's computer silently asks Chrome and Google's cloud to create a valid passkey login, no biometric or PIN needed. Wonderful. Silver passkey. Malware abuses device re-enrolling to register its own user verification key, then logs in as the victim from the attacker's machine without touching the victim's device. Yikes. And then the golden passkey. Malware extracts Google's security secret, domain secret, the master encryption key, decrypts all sync passwords, and can reuse them anywhere, even after losing access to the original device. So yes, they can actually steal your keys now. How wonderful. How to stay safe. They urge users to stop blindly trusting user verification flag and to properly validate the real user verified event occurred before granting access. Google in turn is encouraged to harden device registration recovery and verify that new devices and keys are backed up by genuine hardware rather than accepting them at face value. You know what this means, don't you? More ID verification. Oh, yes, we're going to strengthen this by adding another way. You have to show your government ID and provide a phone number now. Ooh, wonderful. Passkeys itself are good when implemented correctly. The problem is they're not implemented correctly in our world. Most of the people don't even know what they are or how they work. You're confusing a lot of people. The implementation is not sound, and most people don't realize that that passkey is tied to that device. If that device breaks, you cannot gain access to your accounts. We have to account for this nonsense. So, yeah, passkeys, well, that was a good idea. What's next, folks? Tell us about the next bulletproof idea so hackers can poke a hole through it. Still staying on Google here, they plan to exempt sanctioned nations from Android developer verification. So this is, of course, tied to the upcoming Android verification. Actually, that friend that just messaged me on Matrix there is actually pointed out that there was an app. Let me find his message to me again. He actually said there that the Android developer verified. There was an app for that. I didn't get a chance to look into that. He said he downloaded a copy. I'll have to ask for details later. But this deals with that upcoming rollout of developer verification, where every developer, in order to install an app on a standard stock Google device, whether that's Google or Samsung or whatever else, the developer has to have verified their identity through Google, which, or verified the identity of the stolen credentials, whatever. But the question came up, what about sanctioned countries? Well, sanctioned countries, developers and sanctioned companies cannot validate their IDs with Google. Say, ooh, that's good news. And here's the bad news, is that their devices also can't install anything that's verified. So the devices in sanctioned, actually, no, hold on, take that back. They cannot, they will not be blocked from installing apps, but developers cannot get their apps into the global app store. So if you're a developer in Russia, China, Iran, any other sanctioned nation, then what happens is you cannot be in the developer program, which means you cannot distribute your apps through any of the major Play stores using that particular, using the ID verification. On the good news is you can still freely develop your app within all of the sanctioned nations. So, you can spread your malware all over, far, deep, and wide through all of those sanctioned nations. You don't have to verify who you are. Okay, that's good for them. But that's kind of the challenge that we see here. So I think I pretty much covered the whole article. I don't think I really need to go into any more detail. So developers want to keep releasing software, even if it's not in the Play Store, would have to provide Google their ID and pay a fee. Of course, if you're in the sanctioned countries, you cannot do that. They're calling the Meta glasses now pervert glasses. How wonderful, because of course people are doing weird, crazy things with them. I mean, who would have thought if you put glasses on capable of recording that people would do crazy, perverted things in public with them? I mean, come on, guys. Do we need to go back and reread Walden again? Any of us? Thoreau said in that book, and it's a tremendous quote, one of the best quotes ever written in American literature: our improved technology gives us an improved means to our own deteriorating ends. Of course, we have deteriorating ends because we are at root sinners in need of a savior. But with this over here, this is just an influencer who is a bicycle racist, and he basically said he did a video using the Meta smart glasses, aka pervert glasses, and he ended up losing a lot of followers over it. So people are getting really mad at content creators using these glasses. So after posting footage on social media, comment student rolled in real shock. Perv one read, out here pushing creep glasses, said another. His mistake, documenting the moment on Meta spy glasses. There are widespread fears about the glasses being used to film people, especially women, without their consent, and they result in footage being posted on social media. So content creators, no matter how they are used, have faced a flood of negative comments for deploying them. So Hussoon says that while some of the comments left on his videos were savage, he's in full support of their message. It's definitely caught me off guard. It was a real and ignorant move. So he called the term pervert glasses a defense mechanism to dissuade people from using them. If everybody gets around that they are these glasses, which evidently they have, then it's a really easy way of limiting sales and the usage of them. People do not need any more of their privacy stripped away, and I'm in full support of that. So there you go. It was intended as a simple way of capturing the human point of view in my morning routine. But basically, there's a lot of issues with these glasses. UK might actually ban them, but out in Australia, the Kmart, which still exists in Australia, actually sold out of the knockoff versions of them. So make of that what one will. Good news is that the California Drop Act is in full swing. So Californians can tell data brokers to drop their information. This is one centralized place. You give your information to that centralized place, and any data broker that has your information inside the state of California or doing business inside the state of California can have some serious sanctions on them. So that is actually good news. We need this running out nationally. Of course, there's private companies. I feel a little weird, like, here, a private company, here's all of my information. Make sure it's not on the internet. I just don't know if I have that level of trust yet. You know, maybe I have trust issues or something. I don't know. But California launched the delete request and opt-out platform, Drop, a state-run portal that lets residents send deletion and opt-out requests to all registered data brokers at one place. This is exactly what we need on a national level. The data is often gathered without explicit consent, raising concerns about privacy and transparency. Basically, you have to prove who you are. Of course, it's so racist of California, assuming people have IDs, but you know, what can you have? All right. So you have to provide your name, address, contact details, that brokers are likely to have, and that Drop uses to match any of your records. And then, of course, all of those, they'll basically send a single request to all of them and say, these people have opted out. So if you live in California, I highly encourage you to use the Drop Act. It is the best tool you have. There are some other states that are kind of working on this. Maybe all the rest of our states, we need to add something like this, or get enough of us that the federal government says, maybe we need something like this. I don't know. So there's, of course, other ways to hide yourself from data brokers. Apple WebKit has vulnerabilities that reveal your real IP address despite private relay. So if you've been using private relay trying to hide your IP address, yeah, it turns out that no matter what you do, your IP address is leaking anyway. So 3 specific mechanisms have been discovered to bypass Apple's iCloud private relays, including Tor. So if you're using Tor over there on Apple thinking you're going to hide your IP address, you're sadly mistaken. All right, so Private Relay is a VPN-like system for Safari on iOS, which is meant to provide websites from viewing the visitor's IP address and location. Apple's iCloud Private Relay never sees them. As a result, this means they can't hide your IP address. So how do these work? Number one is DNS prefetching. So this is in order to load the web pages better, make the internet look like it's working better. Not work better, but just make it look like it's working better. Is when you load a web page, it's going to do a DNS check of every single link on that web page. And so you land on a page, there's a bunch of links to it. Your browser goes out and does a DNS prefetch. It basically prefetches all that information. That DNS prefetch goes outside of the web proxy that Apple has set up. As a result, all of the websites still see your real address by simply landing on a page that has linked to it. Huge problem. Web auth and passkeys. Well, that's terrifying in light of what we just saw. So they found on Apple platforms, the fetch is performed outside the usual WebKit page load path, which means it's not sent through Safari proxy or private relay. So a site using passkeys can cause your device to contact it directly. Can't hide from those passkey sites. And then a web transport and related technologies. So web transport is a newer API giving websites a way to open low latency bidirectional connections to a server. In the scenarios the researchers tested, web transport connections were also outside. I believe this is the protocol Facebook used to get around Apple's privacy tools. I think this is exactly what Facebook did. They did this, which goes outside of the browser, so it was basically turned invisible. So if you are using the private relay on iOS, it is not nearly as private. Malwarebytes, and the best inclusion of sponsored property, not for me, but for them. They say VPN, Malwarebytes VPN is not affected since it tunnels devices' entire network traffic at the system level. This actually should apply to any VPN on your device. Should route all traffic on the device through the VPN. So if you are using a VPN, that will keep you safe. This was kind of a crazy long article. I just kind of want to summarize it here. And I've talked about this before. This is just the first definitive proof we have of it. So once again, my prophetic theorizing was correct. So AI shopping agents, they are flooding websites. And the problem we have with these agents is it's becoming hard to tell what is legitimate and what is scams anymore. So it used to be simple. Anything that was just coming from some bot farm was probably just a malicious bot. We could block it. Anything coming from anything else probably is real traffic. Now we have real traffic coming from bot farms. And so the idea here is to slow down on security and on blocking to see what the bots are up to first. And this is a fundamental problem. This is how AI is going to destroy e-commerce right there, right? So that's kind of what we're seeing in this one here. I don't want to go through, like I said, I guess it wasn't as long as I thought it was, but there is a lot in here, and they're talking about how your retailers might need to change the way they're doing to look for bots and see what they're doing. But then there's obviously problems of bots going in and filling up shopping carts and never actually paying. There's a problem with what happens when a bot pays for something and then it's wrong and the owner of the bot has to send it back. I think we should just have a policy. Every store, if your AI bot spots something, it is absolutely non-refundable no matter what. You deployed a bot to buy something from us and we took the money and shipped the item. It's on you. We're not, it's our money now. You have fun with your product and be careful with your evil AI bots in the future. All right. New Orleans is wanting to use limited AI. Now, the first edition of this article came out and it sounded much more scary than it actually is. I actually think, unpopular opinion, I'm going to join Louis Rossman here in saying this is actually a good use of AI, the way that they are implementing this. Now, the one downside, and we talked about this in our supporter call yesterday, the one big downside of this is that it could encourage them to lay off more staff because the robots could increase the efficiency, and we do not want to lay off more staff in the 911 systems. But what is at heart here is, suppose there's a car accident. It's at Concord and Lexington where the Union Army clashed with the Southern Army there, right? And so Concord and Lexington, a car accident happens, and it's a huge intersection. Easily 30 people saw the crash. Everyone reaches for their phone and dials 911 pretty much at the same moment. What happens now is when you dial 911, the triangular location of your phone from the cell tower is given as precise cell data to the 911 call so they can see it. So what they're doing is they're intercepting this data, and the first couple calls that come through within that close proximity will go into the human operator systems. But then after the human operator systems have picked this up, every other call within like a 200, I think they said meter or foot, some ratio of this, every call that comes in within a short range of that area will immediately be filtered to AI first. And they're going to ask, are you calling about this incident? If so, we already know about it. Are you involved? Or do you have any other information? So if it's like, hey, I just happen to see it out of the corner of my eye, I don't have any information, I'm just calling to alert you to it, thank you, we're aware, and it hangs up on you. Or, you can hit the button and it'll hang up on you. They're already aware of the call. And this keeps the 911 systems clear in the event there's also an accident on the other end of town. And so this is a way to use AI to keep a massive amount of calls from a small location area from flooding the system, which could easily drown out a real emergency somewhere else. And so that's kind of the way that they are using AI in this system. So I actually think they're deploying it well, of course, assuming they are not laying off more staff in the 911 system. So that's kind of what they're doing. So they did explain the technology here. I think I did a pretty good job of explaining all that. So I don't think we're going to go through all this. And it looks like this is one of those articles that does not save my my footnotes. So that's good. So as far as AI goes, I think this is a decent use. But feel free to tar and feather me, turn me into Big Bird if you disagree. Anyway, should you still buy your next smartphone? Don't worry, guys. I mean, it's nearing the end of 2026. We only have 3 years before we will own nothing and be completely happy. We got to get in on this mix here. So should you buy your next smartphone? Maybe you should just subscribe to it instead. You know, we're just so used to it. And if you guys notice this, every single thing in our world is payments. You talk about buying a car. Why is the default now on buying your car just your payments? Like, dude, I just bought a car. It wasn't super expensive. I just bought a car. I pay cash for it. By the way, you go in and out of a place buying payments versus go in and out of a place paying cash. Oh, night and day. I was in and out of there in like 20 minutes. They got to verify the things, make sure the money's in the account, take the check, hand everything over. So much quicker. But our whole world's just like, oh, I got payment. It's only cost me like $13 a month. Only $13 a month. My burrito was only like $12 a month. It's like $12. It's going to be $12 a week, man. It's going to take out payments for my burrito for the next 3 weeks. Yeah, I know I ate it. I ate it today. I pooped it out tomorrow. I'm going to be paying for that burrito for the next 3 weeks on Klarna. Oh, Lord help us. So, yeah, there are plans. Now, we did talk about Apple has a new plan to subscribe to this. So the idea is that you're just perpetually paying Apple a monthly fee. You're just paying Apple a monthly fee. Forever and ever, ad infinitum, you're paying Apple now a monthly fee. And you will, in exchange, have the latest of their phones. So you can use the phone, and then I think it's after 18 months, you can trade it in for the new model. And then you just keep on doing this. So you never own it. It's never yours. That's kind of crazy. Well, Samsung's getting in on this, and it actually turns out that this is a big model going on in India and I think in the EU as well. And one of the challenges I see to this is the buybacks going right back to the company. I'm worried that this will hurt the third party the third-party marketplaces. So I noticed this with textbook companies. You go to college, you get your textbooks, the end of the semester, like, yeah, I'm going to sell these textbooks back. You used to be able to get, I don't know, $10 for a $100 book. What ended up happening, though, is after a while, textbook companies went in there and they started just taking back all the books they could because it lowered the used books on the market and it increased the number of people that bought the new books. College textbook companies, it's political and scammy. Talk about an industry that needs something. I don't know, the Big Bird. But with the same thing here, everything is becoming subscription model. It's like, oh, I'm just forever and ever going to pay Apple. And my concern is that if you're using the phone for 18 months, you give it back to Apple, so Apple sends you the latest phone, you're still paying Apple the same amount. What happens to that phone? Apple is a company that, despite being like, we're super green, Louis Rossmann has demonstrated that they actually shred devices that go back to them. So they cannot, the parts and devices cannot be used on the used market. So if Samsung and Apple and anyone else doing this and drying up the used phone market, this is absolutely horrendous and needs to be stopped. But if they're, let's suppose that Apple's coming around saying, hey, now we have these used phones, we'll sell used refurbished phones on our website, that is a little bit better. I mean, when I was, I wanted to get the Apple SE2 phone for a project I was working on. I went to a Best Buy. I looked at different Best Buys I'd be driving by that day, and I found one of them in Amarillo, Texas, had a couple different iPhones, refurbished iPhones in stock. I went in and I bought an iPhone that will still have security updates for at least a few more years. It cost me under $200. So if you're sitting there paying like $50 a month to Apple, in 3 months you could have your own. Now, is it the latest and greatest phone? No. But do you have a legitimate need having the latest and greatest phone? No, you need a phone to communicate. That's kind of it. So this is an interesting thing here. And they did actually talk about a few companies. So BytePie is one of these in India. That is because the phones are so expensive over there that this company jumped up to be able to sell them. There was another one in UK, Rilo. Germany has Grover. These are all places that allow you to have your smartphones on a subscription. And so, yeah, this is a model that's probably coming to United States too. You know, what if instead of buying it directly from those companies, of course, you used to do this through like your cell carrier, and then Apple's like, hey, do it through us because we want that beautiful monthly revenue. Well, what if a third party comes in, they have access to all these phones, they can do this, and oh, you want to trade up to a different type of phone now? Well, good luck getting out of that walled garden, but at least it's more theoretically possible with the same company. So interesting. And Uber is building an autonomous vehicle empire. I think that a long time ago, Lyft was a little bit more vocal about this, with Uber still in there a little bit. They were really pushing the don't own a car propaganda because it's too expensive. Now what Uber has done is they've gotten people so addicted to using their app. People are like, Uber, let's Uber here, let's Uber there. But now they're building a massive network of self-driving autonomous vehicles. So what are they going to do? Now that they've steered everybody into the gig economy, they're steering the gig economy, dropping them all right off of the unemployment line as they start pushing out more and more autonomous vehicles, because Uber can charge the same amount of money and keep much more of that golden revenue for themselves. And if they don't have to pay that lowly peon driving the car, they're going to make a whole lot more money. And then here's the fun part of it. The robot will probably still ask for a tip. If I hear of people providing a tip to a robotaxi and Uber, I might just lose my mind. It'll be gone. It's going to turn into mush. It's going to turn into pancakes. I'm going to sit in the little black corner over here. I'm going to put myself in the fetal position. I'm going to rock back and forth and sing something about a dreidel made of clay. Okay. And so the reality here is, yeah, they've gotten us so used to it. You know, I saw that on a gas pump not too long ago. I forget where I was. I was driving around a gas pump, all autonomous. You go in there, I put in the credit card, take out the credit card, pump the gas myself. The machine asked for a tip. Whom am I tipping? Am I tipping the company for selling me overpriced gas? Whom am I tipping? And I can only imagine that gas station probably makes thousands of dollars a day on tips, because people are so accustomed to tipping. They just don't want to be like, no, they have no fear. I have no fear. You turn around and screen, it's just going to ask you a question, no tip. Especially if I just did all the work. Like, I get if I go into Starbucks and I order one of these crazy coffees y'all are all ordering, giving a tip, I'm okay with that. I go to Dunkin' Donuts, I order 2 donuts. The cashier takes my money and they turn around and they grab 2 donuts and put them in a box, give them back. I'm not tipping you for that. You just did your job. I'm not tipping you for that. Okay. I'm going to diverge into a tipping culture is out of control here if I don't move on. So let's go ahead and move on. YouTube is now requiring the creators to have twice as many watch hours to start earning money. Now, anybody already in the partner program will remain in the partner program, with the caveat that your shorts, fortunately I don't monetize shorts, but your shorts, you actually have to maintain your short view count. If you fall under the threshold on shorts, you will not get paid. If you're in the partnership program at any point in time and you get into it for long form videos, you will not lose your monetization status if you fall back under the threshold on that front. But as far as it goes with your short content, you will. Now, we're noticing a lot of revenue drying up, and I'm actually noticing it myself. I have had record lows. I have not seen revenue so low on my channel in 10 years. Because I got in, and I want to say I got into the partner program, I think 6 months after starting my YouTube channel. Of course, back then it was super simple to get into it. And I think the first couple months I saw revenues under $100. But then after that, it went up pretty good. I have never seen revenue so low than we're seeing right now. It's really weird. Now, a good part of it is that I was off for 2 weeks in the last 30-day cycle. So yes, I do have a lot fewer videos over there as well. So I have to factor that in as well. But I think a lot of it is a lot of these AI slop channels are taking up a lot of viewer eyeballs, and that is really drying it up. This is why those AI slop channels need to stop. No AI slop farm should be able to be monetized on YouTube. If you're using an entire AI model, you're able to push out 20 videos a day, you should not be able to join the monetization program. You are drying up money going to creators that work hard at doing this. But effectively what this means now is if you want to start earning, you'll need 8,000 qualified watch hours over the past year. That's for long form, or 20 million qualified shorts views in 90 days. Now that's up from 4,000 watch hours and 1,000 subscribers. It seems as though they dropped the subscriber minimum count. So if you happen to have a mega viral video with 3 subscribers, you could still be monetized in that case. In my opinion, this actually makes it easier for the AI scammers to get monetization, not harder. They also said creators will need to maintain 10 million shorts views over a 90-day period to earn money through the short creator pool. So if you fall under that, you will lose your monetization. And the changes make it harder for creators to enter and remain in YouTube's monetization program for shorts. But creators receive a share of subscription revenue based on members. This is for premium and premium light. 55% going to long form video creators, 45% to short form video creators. So that's how YouTube is changing its monetization. So wonderful. I will have a harder time paying my bills now. I don't want to take sponsors, but I might have to. Who knows? switchedtolinux.com/support. All right, let's jump on over to SillyVille. First up in SillyVille, Psycho Altman, who should be in a padded cell. This guy's like, he's still making the case now that parents should be using ChatGPT to raise their children. In fact, he even says in this article here, what is it? I cannot imagine having gone through figuring out how to raise a newborn without ChatGPT. You know, I'm a young Earth creationist here, so I think the planet's about 10,000 years old. We figured out how to raise our children for 10,000 years, people. If this guy can't figure out how to raise his children without ChatGPT, he is not qualified to raise children. What is going on? I just have no idea how I would manage to take care of a newborn without ChatGPT. I don't know. Feed the baby, change its diapers, and let it get some sleep. Don't let its head fall back. Hold its head when you're holding the newborn. This is not complicated. We can finally parent, folks. We have ChatGPT. A new era of parenting is on. What is he suggesting we use our parenting for? Well, he says in a tweet or something, he says parents could connect your family calendars and explain your kids' interests. So you connect your calendar to ChatGPT and then tell ChatGPT all about your children. Well, that's creepy. The company's new product, ChatGPT Work. And then every morning for the drive to school, have it make a podcast that talks about one kid's soccer game that afternoon, one kid's upcoming birthday, and some news. So Crazy Altman's idea is for parents to feed calendars and things about their children into the creepy chat AI, For the AI to make a podcast that instead of socially interacting in the way to school, now in the car, a podcast will play for the children. So, I don't know, some crazy AI voice is going to be telling the children, well, tonight, Debbie has a soccer game and Johnny has practice for recital. Make sure you get your homework done right when you get home from school. And today, for lunch, you happen to have... I call CPS on this company, please. It's hurting the children. Gravity Falls, Alex Hirsch, creator of the animated series Gravity Falls, says, oh, what if you just talk to your children? Yeah. I bet you know your children's interests just a little bit more than the ChatGPT does. And you already know your kid's calendar. Why don't you, on the drive to school, talk to your children? Hey, you have the soccer game tonight, and don't forget, you have to practice for that recital. So I want you both to take care of your homework right when you come home. You do not need a robotic podcast to do that. I'm broken. The story is breaking me. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Meta wants to test an AI-powered app that tells bedtime stories. This is the same company that did not see a problem with the AI bot having S-based conversations with your children. Well, we took it out because people did. I mean, we think it was totally fine. Yeah, that's because you're a bunch of psychotic perverts over there. And you're hackers too. Like you created a whole new building. You established a road. You could have called that road, your building is on anything, and you choose to call it One Hacker Way. That is all you need to know about doing business with Meta, people. That's all you need to know. They chose to be hackers. Okay. Elon Musk is not to be undone. This story, by the way, may not be suitable for children's eyes. There is now Mogadishu, happens to have, that would be Minnesota and Minneapolis for those. Mogadishu, though. It has a ban on apps that allow users to unwrap pictures of people. We'll use that term. That sounds like a fun term. So they have banned apps. So here's Elon Musk with XAI. How dare you ban our app that takes people's clothing off without their consent? And they're suing over this. Now, they had a 90-day window by which to appeal the law. They did not meet the 90-day window, and so now they're going ahead here and suing, and they're asking for an injunction. And the judge said, no, we're going to go ahead and let Mogadishu block the app. And that's the case. Now, Meta is still fighting it in case, but let's not forget this, people. Meta, Elon Musk, is fighting the state of Minnesota to allow an app that allows a user to input a photo to take their clothes off. I have a sneaky suspicion here that if you have consented permission to have a picture of somebody without their clothes on, they will consent and you can ask them to take their clothes off. And if they say, no, that's kind of creepy, we don't have a need for this app. Now, do we? Yeah. Yeah, so X is fighting for their right to have an app that takes people's clothes off without consent. Oh, yeah. Okay. Royal Queensland Show now is showing a sheep herding dog. I don't know if there's audio on this or not. I will make sure there's not. Let's go ahead and show the video. Here is a robotic dog over here, and it's apparently, I've never seen my sheep herding dogs have a need to do that, but there you go. You got a sheep herding dog. I mean, does this thing have like twin mounted machine guns for when it sees the wolf coming into the field? I mean, that would be useful, right? Like, hey, wolf, get out of here. Fire a warning shot across his nose. Sorry, sir. Who is this guy? Fill in the lines. across the nose, not up it. But anyway, yeah. So if you can mount these guys with something to deter the animals, that'd be cooler. But anyway, oh dear, the dog is going for the child. Okay, never mind. And it's, I don't know why a sheepdog needs to do that, but okay, it is. It'd be really cool if you had to change the oil of these things. It just kind of comes out like the dog's peeing. Would be funny. I know. Now there's robot sheep herding dogs. And in the Schmuckerberg's PR Nightmare of the Week, there was a whoa! I bumped my camera there. There was a vehicle or a boat in distress out there on the coast, and they sent out a distress signal. The Coast Guard's like, "Hey, there's a boat in distress." Zuckerberg's yacht is there, and it stops, so it doesn't get any closer to the boat in distress. Ew. We are not messing with those little peons. We are Zuckerberg's mega yacht. The robot was not aboard, according to reports, there is a small out that Schmuckerberg has here, and that is that the Coast Guard did not send a vessel in distress signal. In a vessel in distress signal, both maritime and U.S. law requires the boats, all boats in the area, to go to a distress signal and help. It was not a distress signal per se. It was a general help signal. So I think like the engines were out. I didn't catch what was wrong with the ultimate boat, but the yacht, seeing it was coming on, slowed to a stop and hovered there, so it didn't have to respond. And they said, well, a message came in on a different channel, and that message came in on a different channel. So by the time we heard it and we looked, somebody else was responding. The problem is every boat is supposed to be always monitoring that channel. This is a deliberate act of not helping people, because that's the way these people are. They think they are above everyone else. We are not helping. We are the Zuckerberg mega yacht. We are not getting our hands dirty with those peons. Let them struggle themselves. I see another tugboat is going to help. Let them help. There's even a supply boat that tracks us. This thing has its own satellite boat surrounding, like, traveling with it, and even it's like, we ain't helping. Yeah. So social media scuttlebutt about Zuckerberg's $300 million super yacht failing to assist stranded boaters off the coast of Alaska was partly corroborated by ship's tracking data, eventually prompted response from both U.S. Coast Guard and a spokesman for the robot. So after the Coast Guard determined the vessel is not in distress, it issued a marine assistance request broadcast asking for volunteer help by nearby mariners. Although Launchpad and its $30 million support ship, so the $300 million yacht has a $30 million satellite boat going with it, and even that's like, we're not helping. They can deal with themselves. All right. The Launchpad and its $30 million support ship Wingman were not legally obligated to assist. In this case, it may have represented a missed opportunity to do a little bit of good. Why would we want to help? We already control these peasants. We do not need to help them. We do not need their good image. We can kill people in the streets and nobody will care. Which is unfortunately probably true. Democrat Senator Sheldon Whitehouse of Rhode Island, himself a member of an elite sailing club, in a Facebook post criticized the lack of response from Zuckerberg's super yacht. Quote, vessels are supposed to monitor Channel 16 at all times for this exact purpose. Billionaires don't follow that rule either, I guess. Okay. So there you have your SillyVille edition. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. All right, let's check in on our comments. Let me jump on over here to Matrix. Excuse over there. Yeah, no, not really anything going on over there. We got 10 watching over on Rumble. Play Transformers Earth Wars on my Samsung tablet. When you can easily share something 2FA passkey passwords via Google Sync, easy to get got. Yep. Something a sus market will increase. Yeah, that's true. All right, let's see. We got 10 currently watching over on Odyssey. Oh, Manjaro released an ISO yesterday. I should go look at it. I'm looking for a quick and easy video for Tuesday. I'm going to be really busy over the weekend, and Monday I'm taking off. So I have the Night Owl. If you jumped on late, I will be releasing the Night Owl security camera full review. We looked at the app even. Oh, that was scary. We tried to look at the application. Doesn't work, even natively. And we tried to go look at it in the browser. That was scary. And then I set it up to use it entirely offline mode. So that's coming out Monday. Maybe I'll look at a Manjaro on Tuesday. That sounds fun. Great MP3 player, LG V20. Yes, the Google things can just remove from the device and still operate. Speaking of Kitty, though, somebody left a comment on the Kitty. Let's go ahead and feed the beast. How you doing, Kitty? All right, the beast has been fed. Now she's like, where are those amazing treats? I need to have more. Need to have more. Irritated when they ask you to donate when I'm using my card at Dollar General. Would you like to donate? No. I will keep my donations to myself, sir. 2 S4s and 1 AT&T stuck on 4.4. The other USC model OS 18.1. So to get a part-time... is it too late to get a part-time job this day and age? No, I don't think so. I think you'll have a better chance of getting a part-time job than a full-time job because in at least the United States here, they do not have to pay you benefits and time off and stuff on part-time, but they might on full-time. It's finding the job without, giving up every bit of your data. I think we definitely need new laws about what type of data can be collected for doing a job, like for applying for a job, because I think too many jobs are asking for too much information and it leaves room for too many scammers to get in there and collect all that same information as well. Our job market right now is totally screwed up. It's LG 8 ThinQ, battery fizzled out. I think the last phone made by LG lasted for 7 years. Yep. They made great phones. Unfortunately, they don't make good other things. We've got 28 currently watching on Z2Bs. Tubiz or not Tubiz? That is the question. Did I? Yes, I did leave my comment. Crazy thing about SRS. Okay, Savannah Riverside. It's also part of a major hurricane evac route. So my small town, the 2 gas stations get cleaned out by the time people get here. Peppermint and chia tea seeping. Nice. There you go. That's good stuff. I am almost out. Alas, my tea is done. All right. South Carolina beaches are very often out of gas and supplies. Same for the local Dollar General family dollar stores. They get cleared out as well. I'm in the process of upping my emergency prep with basic food storage and a solar-backed battery bank. Absolutely. I cannot recommend this enough. We're actually not using it tonight. I had intended on, but it was already plugged in over here because I was using that to do some other things today while I put this computer on the main power to do the transcode the video for Monday. But that Jackery was a major game changer. 2 major game changers in van life this year on my last journey was I added the Jackery and I added Starlink. Those, because I was always running out of power, but the Jackery allowed me to top that off. Then I could transfer the Jackery battery into the house battery. And then because I could angle the solar panels better, I could charge the Jackery up. And then around January, I actually on a raffle, I won a second solar panel. So now I have 320 watts I can plug into the Jackery, which charges the thing up in just a few hours, even in the dead of winter. And so the Jackery was a huge game changer. That's the Explorer 1000 version 2, which is a tremendously good. I do not like the quality of the solar panels. You can get better solar panels for the price, but the device itself is really good. Food processing stuff. Yeah, I just bought a deep freezer as well. It was fun because I was the last round of camp I just got back from. I was the head of the kitchen. And so I ended up buying about half of the food and borrowed my friend Sam's Club card, went shopping at Sam's Club. And I actually put the freezer in the van and I completely filled it. It's a 5 cubic foot freezer. I completely filled it up. We still had more frozen things we needed, but I completely filled that up and had a giant freezer in the van all week. It was kind of annoying, but it worked. So now I was able to it fits perfectly next to the washer and dryer in here. And so I have a deep freezer. So I'm slowly building up things as I see food on sale. I'm doing that. And the Jackery can run that for, I think, easily a day. It'll be able to keep it cold. So if there's an emergency situation, power loss, I can actually keep that refrigerator charged with the Jackery. Let's see. Thankfully, they are no worse than Logitech or JLab webcams as far as include drivers and Windows. I'm just going to buy a Trump phone. America won. The America first. There you go. Buy that Chinese-made Trump phone. I think it's a Korean-made. I forget. It ain't American-made. I know that. Let's see. Found overseas OEM gave them their design files and have slap custom logos and packaged. Yeah, I mean, it's white labeling. Everybody does white labeling these days. I'm not particularly mad at that. I purchased. Oh, is there a Trump Bible? What? If there's a Trump Bible, I might have to order it. God bless the U.S. That's okay. Trump Bible redirects from here. Wait, hold on. God bless USA Bible, known as the Trump Bible. Okay, hold on. Let me grab that screen there. Okay. All right. So it says here the God bless USA Bible, also known as the Trump Bible, is in addition to the King James version of the Christian Bible, alongside texts related to the foundation of politics in the United States, such as a purposefully incomplete version of the Constitution of the United States, Bill of Rights, missing the Constitution Amendments 11 through 27, Declaration of Independence, Pledge of Allegiance, compilation. God bless America Bible, hey? All right, let's see what else I can do here. God bless the USA Bibles. $100. I don't know. $50. If I can get it on Amazon. If I can find a God Bless America Bible on Amazon, I'll buy one just for the lulz. Yeah, I didn't know about that. Thank you, guys. I mean, that's I didn't know about that. That's awesome. Oh dear. Let's see. Guess you already purchased a Trump. Hey man, if I can buy that on Amazon, I'm buying it. I'm not giving my information to that company. But if I can buy it on Amazon, I'm going to buy it. You better believe it, boy. It's going to go right on that bookshelf over there full of Bibles. Besides, we should all read our founding documents, by the way. I'm not afraid of anything other than God. When you are truly born again, fear is no longer an issue. Zucky, he's creepy as hell. Yep. Zuck is a lizard. No, he's in T1000. No. All right, let's see. God bless the USA Bible, also known as the Trump Bible, is in addition to the foundation of politics in the United States, such as a purposefully incomplete version of the Constitution of the United States, Bill of Rights, missing the Constitution Amendments 11 through 27, Declaration of Independence, Pledge of Allegiance, compilation. God bless America Bible, hey? All right, let's see what else I can do here. see. All the memes for years have been Zuck's a secret lizard person. Well, it's Zuckerberg is half secret lizard person and half robot. Not a T-1000. Definitely more like a Chinese knockoff. Honestly, I think we need more open source phones. Yep. Trump phone is a scam, even by Trump himself, and not open. Okay. Let's say I don't hate Trump and have voted for him, but I ain't going anywhere near the Trump phone. Yep. Yeah, I mean they're really good at making little businesses, and people are really good at being like, that's the latest thing, and so they buy it. Make a lot of money on people being consumers. We should stop being so eager consumers. Right now, Donald Trump is only allowed to use phones the CIA and Secret Service allow him to use. That is correct. Yep. Being used AI is being used by the socialists to destroy capitalism and blame chaos in capitalism. This is how it'll take over the world. Yep. You have a lot to learn. Yeah. Not grow up any time to understand what's happening. Yeah, I completely agree. Like, I don't know if it's so here's the problem is that at least in the last few years, the mainstream media has been progressively socialist in its approach, and AI is trained on all of those things. So by core nature, AI leans socialist because as its input has suggested, its output also suggests. So, I mean, I would agree with that. And the next challenge we have is that capitalism as we have in our country is not the capitalist that Adam Smith wrote about, which required a core and a root. In his form of capitalism, a man would never accumulate the amount of wealth people are accumulating now and sit on it whilst underpaying their employees. Capitalism would work like the trickle-down economics pushed by Ronald Reagan works in a place where there's morality and integrity and ethics is at the core heart of the people involved. The problem is it came onto the scene a little bit too late and it did not actually function. So because of the simple fact that the people that rise to the top of these companies, by and large, are psychopaths who care only for themselves. So this is why Bezos, for example, has so much money while his employees can't take a break and have to pee in bottles. And he underpays them. They're not paid nearly enough to have a livable wage, and they have no breaks. They're basically exploited at his cost. Now, he could still live a massively comfortable life and do everything he wanted to be, whilst every one of his delivery drivers also are making a very good, solid, livable wage. He just doesn't have any morality and ethics. He's basically an evil person in the middle who doesn't care about anybody else because he has climbed to the top of the building. He shook everybody off the ladder and he pulled the thing up so nobody else can join him. That's what happened. That's not capitalism, because capitalism at its core has ethics and morality and integrity and a love for the people that you serve. And that is not a sign people have. So we are not necessarily a capitalist society. We'd be better to go back to it, but we would have to have a culture that is more infused with things which bring forth ethics and morality and integrity. And that means the gospel of Christ, because it's the only thing out there that does. All right, let's see. Yeah, I agree. Just chill out. Hey, he told me about the Trump Bible, of which I'm buying one if I can. Come on. Come on, man. If you do not know, I have a fun hobby of collecting and reading obscure, weird Bibles. I believe I have read every single Bible translation I've ever heard of. Cover to cover. Read them all. Those cars to South Africa, see what happens. Listen to YouTubers talk about how they depend on YouTube to pay them. I realize they are working for YouTube. They're not independent. In a way, I mean, in a way, it's true, but recognizing that amount that I make from YouTube is only a fraction of what I make on content creation, because we have YouTube, we have the Patreon, we have Subscribestar. We even have my older system, which is still in place, that eventually we'll overhaul and maybe promote it again. Gives me a little bit more control. So the amount I make on YouTube is only, I want to say it's about 25% of what I make on content creation, but I'm also an author with a bunch of books, and I sell a lot of books every month as well. So, and that's all wrapped up. The YouTube business is actually wrapped up. Like YouTube, the YouTube revenue funds a lot of the costs I have for creating books, so that I can use my web development stuff to pay the bills. Who watches AI slop? The same people that watch crap on TV networks. Yeah, but if they watch that over our channel, then that's crazy. You guys forgot Altman and Zuckerberg are bots. Yeah, if you want to eat and live comfortably, you'll have to do it. Else you can always run and hide in the wilderness. Yeah. If you're too lazy to read bedtime stories, hold on. My computer's been doing some weird stuff. I'm wondering if my memory is working properly. I wanted to read that one on if you're too lazy to read stories, but YouTube comments just doing this for me right now. I can't keep up with what's going on. There you go. There it is. Silver Adventures. If you're too lazy to read bedtime stories, we have this thing called audiobooks. You don't need AI for it. Yep. People want to accept what we won't. We would stop that from happening. Read the book of Revelation in the King James Bible. You don't have to read that in the King James Bible. Just go read the book of Revelation in whatever Bible you can read and understand. Yep. Yeah, the end is coming. It's going to come for sure. Who needs to learn how to speak or understand speech AI? Look at the Blue Eddy AC70 model and 200 watt phone Panther. What's the battery capacity of the AC70? Blue Eddies are good. I liked the Blue Eddies over the Jackeries because they were the first to use the lithium iron phosphate technology, which this version of Jackery does. How big is the AC70 though? That may not be enough power for you. Let's have a look. Okay, 1,000 watt, 786 watt hour. That one is, you might want to go a little bit higher than that one. Yeah, mine's, this one here is, it's like a 1,200, wait. Mine's 100 amp hours, so 1,200 watt hour. So mine's significantly bigger than this one, almost double the size. So you might consider doing something faster than this, or bigger than this, depending on what you're looking to do. So the 70 is a little bit smaller. And my YouTube page just crashed on me. Are we still here? YouTube crashed. All right. Okay. Solar panel can be interesting if you move a lot, live in a place where the sun is present. Not in pre-scale at all. It's not impossible. Yeah, you can use them up in Canada. You definitely want solar panels that you can angle, not ones that lay flat. And that's the problem we have even in the South out here in the United States. Yeah, the sun gets a pretty low angle, but you can still do a good job of powering things by putting the solar panels at an angle. Tom, do a video for the Christian channel. I will. No, I don't want to do an ebook version of it. I like ebook versions for collecting old books and things, but something like Bibles, I do not want an ebook version. I want a physical one. I actually got the streams on Thursdays now. Yeah. Well, welcome, Dark Horse. Good to see you again. Works well when the people in IT cannot work for... Now, socialism and communism, like communism, if people did not have original sin, communism would work. Socialism wouldn't. But the problem is, people are sinners. NKGV Patriots for 62. There you go. All that led up to a second term, only for him to turn his back on Americans. And of course he won't have a third term because we can't have a third term in this country. Awful shape. Washington will never fix it. Yeah. I mean we're end times. We're coming up on end times. What I'm using for a T-Mobile gateway phone, PC lights, stuff like that. Yeah. 2 gas generators, things like the fridge. Okay, yeah, that's better, I guess. Have those sun tracking panels? Those too expensive. So the sun tracking panels they're fixed and they follow a computer algorithm that they're not. I've seen them. They might be about double the price of standard solar panels. And usually you can get a solar panels for about $1 a watt, which drops a little bit. Like the higher the wattage of the panel itself, it drops a little bit. So if those like $1 a watt, the sun tracking ones, they tend to be like $2 a watt when I've seen them. Can just work. We need utopia. No, socialism cannot work. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. You mean it cannot work. Correct. Yes, it cannot work. Sports term for a team of players that rise to prominence seemingly out of nowhere. Yep. Yeah, that's why Obama was called the dark horse candidate. Not because of dark skin, but because he came out of absolutely nowhere. Nobody saw him coming. All right. I think we've gotten to the bottom of our comments. Hello, William2132. Hello. Just checking out on the other comments here. And it looks like we have dried out of comments. Let's go ahead and wrap this guy up. I'll get these videos transcoded and up online. Thank you guys for watching. Again, the review of the Night Owl security camera system will happen on Monday. Who knows? I might look at Manjaro on Tuesday since I hear there's a new release. And I need a quick video for that day. So let's go ahead and look at that possibly. Anyway, thank you guys for watching and we will talk to you next time.